Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki Jai, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki Jai, Shri Gauranitai ki Jai, Shri Chaitanya Caritamrta ki Jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Samaveda Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna. Welcome back. To me too. Okay. Untitled Chapter 8. We are in the concluding section of it about Ramachandra Puri criticizing the Lord. We were discussing about how Madhavendra Puri, he had two disciples who were serving him towards his concluding pastimes. One of them was Ramachandra Puri and the other one was Ishwara Puri. Ramachandra Puri, he transgressed the etiquette and he offended his spiritual master, Madhavendra Puri. And because of that, he lost all devotion to the Supreme Lord. On the other hand, Ishwara Puri, being a very dutiful disciple, he pleased his spiritual master by rendering very menial services. And because of that, Madhavendra Puri blesses him with unalloyed devotion to the Supreme Lord. And because of that, he later gets the association of all exalted personalities in Navadvipa. And he ends up becoming the spiritual master of Supreme Lord, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. The next day, Paramananda Puri and other devotees approached. This is Antya chapter 8, text 71. The next day, Paramananda Puri and other devotees approached Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with great humility and submission. Paramananda Puri said, "My god brother Ramachandra Puri is by nature a bad critic. If you give up eating because of his words, what will be the profit?" It is the nature of Ramachandra Puri that first he lets one eat as much as desired, and if one does not eat more than necessary with great attention, he makes them eat more. Why? So he can offend them and criticize them. In this way, he induces one to eat more than necessary, and then he directly criticizes him, saying, "You eat so much. How much money do you have in your treasury?" Although by inducing sannyasis to eat so much, you spoil their religious principles. Therefore, I understand that you have no advancement. It is Ramachandra Puri's business to inquire always about how others are eating and conducting their daily affairs. The two kinds of activities rejected in the revealed scriptures constitute his daily affairs. What are they? Eating and their mundane daily affairs. One should see that because of the meeting of material nature and the living entity, the universe is acting uniformly. Thus, one should neither praise nor criticize the characteristics or activities of others. Very important. Prabhupada actually says, this is towards his Antya, when his health wasn't good, and at the time, Prabhupada calls his personal servants and he says, "Don't let anyone and everyone in, because everyone comes in and they are asking me, 'How are you doing?' And everyone knows I'm not doing good. So why are they coming in and wasting my time? Let me do my service to my spiritual master." So here it's given, one should see that because of the meeting of material nature and the living entity, the universe is acting uniformly. Says who? Says Lord Sri Krishna to Uddhava. This is part of Uddhava Gita actually. When Krishna teaches Uddhava how we should understand to discern right from wrong, but then after teaching Uddhava about all of that, finally Krishna concludes, it's actually not good to constantly see what is good and bad, because that's not where our focus should be. Our focus should be simply to please the Supreme Lord. So that's what Krishna is saying here. Thus one should neither praise nor criticize the characteristics or activities of others, because everyone is going through their own journey. And everyone is at different stages also of their progress. So somebody who has progressed a little bit more, there is no point in them looking back or looking down upon others who haven't progressed that much. Their focus should be always ahead. How much more to cover? So here, that's what Krishna says. I'll read this again. Please listen carefully. One should see that because of the meeting of material nature and living entity. Living entity is Jiva. Material nature is Prakriti. The universe is acting uniformly. Because of meeting between material nature and the living entity, there is a certain equilibrium. There is a balance in the universe. Thus, one should neither praise nor criticize the characteristics or activities of the others. So, everyone's life is actually driven by their nature, karma, which they have accrued, plus whatever choices that they make. Karma creates situation in our life. It doesn't force us to make choices. So, if I'm supposed to get rich, or I'm supposed to have a certain ailment in my body, that's the result of my karma. But after I get that, let's say after I get rich, or after I become educated, or after I get sick, how I react, that's my choice. How I act now, based on that situation which my karma put me in, that creates a future karma. If I end up doing more material activity because of the current situation, you just think about yourself, how you look. 4 things it says karma brings from our previous life. Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shribi. How beautiful we look, how educated we are, what family we took birth in, and how rich we are. These 4 things karma creates. And whatever situation that we are born in, that is a result of, especially these 4 parameters are determined by our previous karma in our previous lives. Now in this situation, wherever that we are in, either we can sit and feel very elated about something we are doing good, or feel so dejected about something which is not in our control, or we can just accept whatever that karma brings and then focus our life on worshipping Shri Radha Gopinath. If we do the latter, then we can transcend the effects of karma. If we go with the former approach wherein we sit and try to alter the karma, then in the process of doing so, we'll incur even more karma. And then more, and then more. And then it creates a lot of entanglement. So here, we need to know how much ever we need to, in order to survive in this world. That much we need to definitely deal with material energy. But if we keep dealing with material energy, altering it as our primary focus of life, then that creates only more karmic bondage. So we have to be very careful there. Of the 2 rules, Ramachandra Puri obeys the first by abandoning praise. But although he knows that the second is more prominent, he neglects it by criticizing others. What's the second principle? One should neither praise nor criticize the characteristics or activities of others. So he's definitely not praising, but he's criticizing. Between the former rule and the latter is more important. This is a verse from the Nyaya literatures. Purva parayor madhya paravidir balavan. Even where there are hundreds of good qualities, a critic does not consider them. Rather, he attempts by some trick to point out a fault in those attributes. One should not therefore follow the principles of Ramachandra Puri. Nevertheless, I have to say something against him because he is making our hearts unhappy. So, this is said by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Why have you given up proper eating due to the criticism of Ramachandra Puri? Please accept invitations as before. This is the request of us all. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, why are all of you angry at Ramachandra Puri? He is expounding the natural principles of sannyasa life. Why are you accusing him? For a sannyasi to indulge in satisfying the tongue is a great offense. The duty of a sannyasi is to eat only as much as needed to keep body and soul together. When they all requested very fervently that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu take a full meal, he still would not do so. Instead, he responded to their request by accepting half as much as usual. The cost for the food needed to invite Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was fixed at 2 panas of kaudis, which is 160 conch shells. And that food would be taken by 2 men and sometimes 3. So that's the amount with which they can purchase Lord Jagannath's Mahaprasad, and how much ever they could actually get by paying 160 conch shells, 3 of them would share. When a Brahmana at whose home an invitation could not be accepted invited the Lord, he would pay 2 panas of conch shells to purchase the prasadam. So in some instances, the hosts who are serving lunch prasadam or boga to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they would cook it themselves. But in some instances where a Brahmana at whose home an invitation cannot be accepted, what he would do, he would go purchase from the temple Mahaprasad and he would serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When a Brahmana at whose home an invitation could be accepted invited him, the Brahmana would purchase part of the prasadam and cook the rest at home. So this is the principle. Even on a day when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was invited to dine by others, if Gadadhar Pandit, Bhagavan Acharya or Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya invited him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had no independence. He would accept their invitations as they desired. So, Gadadhar Pandit's invitation, Bhagavan Acharya's invitation, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's invitation supersedes everyone else's invitation. So, if on a day someone else is inviting, but then one of these 3 personalities also invite, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would simply obey his devotees. So he would either go to Gadadhar Pandit or Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya or Bhagavan Acharya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually descended to give happiness to the devotees. Thus he behaved in whatever way fit the time and circumstances. Because of his full independence, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sometimes behaved like a common man and sometimes manifested his godly opulence. Kabu laukika riti yena itarajana kabu swatantra karena aishwarya prakatana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sometimes accepted Ramachandra Puri as his master and considered himself as a servant, and sometimes the Lord, not caring for him, would see him as being just like a straw. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu behaved exactly like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, beyond the restriction of anyone's intelligence. He did whatever he liked, but all his activities were very beautiful. Thus Ramachandra Puri stayed for some days at Nilachala, Jagannath Puri. Then he left to visit various holy places of pilgrimage. The devotees considered Ramachandra Puri to be like a great burden on their heads. When he left Jagannath Puri, everyone felt extremely happy, as if a great stone burden had suddenly fallen from their heads to the ground. We definitely don't want to be in that position of Ramachandra Puri. He was such a nuisance. Devotees were waiting for him, and as soon as he left, they felt very light, as if they have just put a burden of stone from their head down. After his departure, everything was happy once again. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted invitations as usual and led congregational chanting and dancing. Everyone else also accepted prasadam without hindrances. If one's spiritual master rejects him, one becomes so fallen that he, like Ramachandra Puri, commits offenses even to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So dangerous. If one is rejected by one's spiritual master, one's guru, then one becomes an offender even to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I was hearing a lecture by Prabhupada today, and Prabhupada was saying about people, they try to understand God, but then they have problem accepting that he has senses. And Prabhupada says, by definition, God means one who is full in all the opulences. Beauty is also one of them. How can the Supreme Lord, who is full of opulences, not have senses and you still accept him as Supreme Lord? It's not possible. And Prabhupada is saying, you are coming in front of the Supreme Lord and you are offering prayers. If Supreme Lord doesn't have ears, how is he going to hear it? If the devotees, they come in front of the Lord, they look at the beauty of the Lord without the sense of seeing, fold your feet, Prabhu. Don't show your feet. You can sit on the chair if you like. So, if Supreme Lord doesn't have the eyes, how can he actually see? So Prabhupada says like that. So here, It's important that we understand the mood of the Supreme Lord. He is not bound by any rules. In fact, he creates the rules. And whatever he says becomes rule. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as supreme devotee, sometimes he abided by the rules and sometimes he exhibited his opulence as the Supreme Lord, being Swarat, being totally independent of any criticism. In fact, it's mentioned he treated Ramachandra Puri just like a straw, not in front of him. When he says just like a straw, meaning he doesn't care about his criticism. After his departure, if once a spiritual master rejects him, one becomes so fallen that he, like Ramachandra Puri, commits offenses even to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we have to understand, converse of this is also true. If a spiritual master gives mercy to the disciple, then one will be able to get closer to the Supreme Lord. But if the spiritual master rejects the disciple, then one becomes an aparadhi. One will not even realize the mistakes one does, and one will go on becoming a serial offender, offending everyone, and then they don't spare even Supreme Lord. And then what is left in their spiritual life? Their spiritual life will totally come down falling. So that's why it's called Hatimata, the offense of Vaishnavas, the Vaishnava Aparad. It's considered to be a mad elephant offense, or like the behavior of a mad elephant. You let loose a mad elephant in a banana plantation. Banana tree is very weak. You can yourself uproot. And you let loose a mad elephant inside. What will be left in the plantation? Nothing. It will go completely ransack the whole place. So, in the same way, our devotional creeper is also very carefully protected by following the Vaishnava etiquette, by hearing and chanting. That's like pouring water in it. In the association of devotees, very carefully we are protecting it. But if we somehow or other offend the devotees, then that's like letting loose a mad elephant, which would go and trample our devotional creeper. So we have to be very, very careful. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not consider the offenses of Ramachandra Puri, for the Lord considered him his spiritual master. However, his character instructed everyone about the result of offending the spiritual master. The character of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is full of nectar. Hearing about it is pleasing to the ear and mind. I write about the character of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. O readers, please hear with attention, for thus you will easily receive the ecstatic love for the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna. Sri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Arasha Caitanya Caritamrta Kahe Krishna Dasa. Prabhupada, when he is commenting on the glorious qualities of Prahlad Maharaj, he says that there are 12 Mahajans: Swayambhu Narada Shambhu, Kumaro Kapila Manu, Prahlada Janaka Bhishma, Balir, Vayasaki Vayam. Of the 12 Mahajans, Prabhupada quotes previous Acharyas, Madhvacharya, and he says Prahlad Maharaj is considered to be the best example of all the 12 Mahajans. And Prabhupada says, whoever follows in the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj, how he exemplified, how he withstood the offensive behavior of his father, Hiranyakashipu, how he tolerated everything. And finally, when Narasimhadev himself asked, what boon would you like? He rejects everything and he says, my Lord, please don't tempt me, I don't want anything. And then Narasimhadev, still he insists, no, you have to take. Then Prahlad Maharaj, very famously, he says, Edi dasesi me kaman, varamstam varadarshaba, kamanam hridya samroham, bhavatastu vrinevaram. My Lord, if you at all want to give me some boon, then give me this boon. You know, the desire which I have inside my heart to ask for a material boon, you remove that. That's the boon I want. He says like that. Varamstam Varada Rishabha. Rishabha means the best. Varada means one who is the giver of benedictions, the best of the giver of benedictions. Same as Varadaraj, this term is also used to Varada Rishabha by Prahlad Maharaj. So there, Narasimhadev, he actually tells that he is the best example for all the devotees to follow. Later on you will see Narada Muni himself glorifies Prahlad Maharaj, saying in the association of any devotees, the discussion of Krishna Katha is considered incomplete if Prahlad Maharaj is not glorified. That is his position, supreme position. So Prahlad Maharaj, upon being insisted by Narasimhadev again, then he says, my Lord, I would like one boon. You please deliver my father. He was very offensive, very sinful, and he offended you. He got unnecessarily angry at you because of this pastime. Varahadev killing his brother Hiranyaksha. That's the pastime we are discussing now in Bhagavatam. Because of that, he got unnecessarily angry with you. And he offended you. And he offended me also. Because I am your devotee. So please deliver him. And then Narasimhadev says, your father is automatically delivered. What to speak of your father? Trishaptabhi it's given. 3 times 7. Your 21 generations of forefathers, they are all delivered. And then Prabhupada explains, 21 generations means, we normally say, okay, father, if I say 21 generation, how will you describe that? Father, grandfather, great-grandfather, correct? But Prabhupada gives a different explanation. Prabhupada says, see, you are born in a certain family. What is the guarantee? In the previous life also you are born in the same family. You can say, you can claim only one generation, which is one level up, which is your father. Because in your previous life, you don't know who your father is. And Prabhupada says, in all likelihood, you are born in a different family. Chances for us to be born in the same family is very less, very, very less. So Prabhupada says, what the proper understanding of this boon that is given by Narasimhadev is, in each of the 21 previous lives you are born, and each of those fathers which we all had, Prabhupada says, 21 previous lives you are born, and all your fathers, dependents, everyone will get delivered. So Prabhupada says it's not just one family that is going to get delivered if somebody becomes a pure devotee. Many, many families, because in all likelihood, we were born in 21 different families in previous life. That includes in other living beings also. In previous life we may be born as a cat. Then our cat father will also get delivered. And in one before that we may have born as a horse father also. Prabhupada explains that is the power of becoming a devotee. Not only will the devotee in question will get delivered, but 21 different generations from 21 previous lives, which means in different families. Each one of them will get delivered. So Prabhupada says, Hiranyakashipu, he tried so hard, but because he was an offender, he didn't get anything. He did tapasya for more than 35,000 years. He couldn't even enjoy all his opulence for not even 5 years. But if we take Prahlad Maharaj, being devotee of the Supreme Lord, simply tolerating all the offenses, he went on with this business about remembering the Supreme Lord, worshipping, meditating on the Supreme Lord. And because of that, Narasimhadev says, I order you to enjoy all the material opulences. Guess for how long? Narasimhadev says, you enjoy for the duration of lifetime of one Manu. 71 Chaturyuga. One Chaturyuga is 4.32 million years. You multiply that by 71 times. That's how long Prahlad Maharaj enjoyed material opulence. Being ordered by Narasimhadev. So Prabhupada says, simply by taking shelter of the Supreme Lord, one will get everything. Whatever they want, spiritual happiness, material happiness, everything will automatically come. One doesn't have to work so hard. Prabhupada says like that. So we have to understand, if one offends devotees, Ayushriyam, Yashodharmam, Lokan ashisha evacha anti shreyamsi sarvani pumso mahad atikramaha. One loses 6 things. Lifespan gets reduced if somebody offends devotees. Beauty, fame, religiosity, blessings, elevation to the higher planetary system. These 6 things. Hanti shreyamsi karmani, sarvani. Hanti means it destroys everything. Converse is also true. If somebody pleases the Supreme Lord, serving, satisfying, and pleasing the devotees, then one will be elevated. One will gain everything and much, much more. Not only material happiness, one will get Krishna Prema and one can go back to Godhead. So we have to be very, very careful when we come across pastimes where the offense to devotees is actually repeatedly discouraged and the ill effects of offending a devotee is mentioned. We need to take extra care to not forget it, because many times we do offense even without realizing it. And most of the time offenses are committed when we are happy, not when we are sad. When we are sad, naturally we will be very humble. So we have to constantly hear from Srimad Bhagavatam, and we have to constantly remember how proactively we need to take the opportunity to serve devotees, to serve Vaishnavas. Because old habits die hard. We are in material platform still, even though we are practicing Krishna consciousness. Material platform means, Prabhupada says, one person, because in material platform, the opulences are not unlimited. One's happiness is dependent on somebody's sadness. And so in material platform, if somebody has to be happy, they have to take something away from other. They have to cheat from someone, which means one person's joy will be another person's sadness. So we have to be very, very careful. That's the background we all come from. But now we are practicing Krishna consciousness. So we have to be very, very careful that we don't fall prey to our past habits. And we understand that Krishna is the supreme controller, and simply by pleasing devotees, we can make tremendous progress. Chapter 9, the Deliverance of Gopinath, Patanayaka. Yeah.
78th shloka. It's very easy to understand committing an offense, criticizing others. But why does it actually say that one should mingle praise? I mean, praising, are we talking about material praise, or, for example, somebody chanting nicely? Oh, you're chanting very nice. So is that Krishna is saying because of that one should not even do that kind of thing?
Here, praise that's actually given is material praise, because the whole context of this is just interaction between Prakriti and Jiva. So if somebody's karma is actually bringing them something, one doesn't need to focus so much on that, telling them how fortunate they are, because already they are entangled with so much pride, thinking, wow, I'm looking so beautiful, I'm so rich, like that. And somebody gets material praise, most likely they'll get even more proud. So in that context, material situation, Krishna is saying one should neither criticize nor praise. Same way, if somebody is poor, somebody is looking ugly, there's nothing to criticize about. Or somebody is singing so nicely, or somebody cannot sing. So any material quality doesn't need to be praised or criticized. That's the point Krishna is saying. But spiritually, yes, we need to do everything. We need to glorify devotees, glorify Krishna. The innumerable glorious followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is chapter 9. The innumerable glorious followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought a constant flood to the desert-like hearts of the unfortunate with an inundation of ecstatic love. Jaya Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Dayamaya, Jaya Jaya Nityananda Karuna Hridaya, Jaya Dvaitacharya Jaya Jaya Dayamaya, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Gana Sabarasamaya. Thus Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lived at Nilachala, Jagannath Puri, with his personal devotees. always merged in ecstatic love for Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always felt waves of separation from Krishna externally and internally. Jai. Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki. Jai. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lived at Nilachala, Jagannath Puri, with his personal devotees, always merged in ecstatic love for Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always felt waves of separation from Krishna externally and internally. His mind and body were agitated by various spiritual transformations. During the day, he chanted, danced, and saw Lord Jagannath in the temple. At night, he tasted transcendental bliss in the company of Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodara. Prabhupada says, pure devotees, externally they will follow the rules and regulations while simultaneously relishing their personal relationship with Krishna internally. And Prabhupada says, in Raganuga Bhakti, when one goes to that platform, internally one will worship the eternal associates of Supreme Lord. And Prabhupada is saying those eternal associates can be in any of the different rasa. And whoever one is eternally connected to, when somebody comes to Raganuga platform, naturally their heart will go towards them and they will start to meditate on those personalities very often. And when they quit the body, they'll go and join them in the service of Krishna. Prabhupada explains like that. So here also we see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, during the day he chanted, danced and saw Lord Jagannath in temple. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never revealed his heart. Guhyam akati pruchati. One of the 6 loving exchanges between devotees. To reveal one's mind and confidence with someone. Revealing one's mind and confidence means you can do that with maybe 1 or 2 devotees. Not in Facebook. not to the whole world. Then it's no longer confidential discussion. It's very open discussion. That's very detrimental. Then it's only gossiping. So in devotional life, we need to have friends. We need to have association on all levels. We need to have association with the devotees who are above us. We need to have association with the devotees who are in our same level. Very important. Devotees, we need to associate with devotees who are new also. So we look up to those who are seniors, we take instructions from them. Peer to peer, we experience a relationship in the mood of a friend. And then those who are junior to us, we need to show compassion and we need to teach them how to actually take up Krishna consciousness and they can also progress. So all 3 are important for our progress in Krishna Bhakti. So here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, during daytime, he would go chant and dance. So inducing everyone to do. But then at night time, he would reveal his heart, discussing confidential pastimes from Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, with Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodara, who is Lalita and Vishaka in Krishna Lila. People from the 3 worlds used to come visit Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyone who saw him received the transcendental treasure of love for Krishna. The inhabitants of the 7 higher planetary systems, including the demigods, Gandharvas and Kinnaras, and the inhabitants of the 7 lower planetary systems, Patala Loka, including the demons and serpentine living entities, which is Nagaloka Vasis. All visited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the dress of human beings. Dressed in different ways, people from the 7 islands and 9 khandas visited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So if you look at Bhumandala has got 7 concentric islands. That's called Saptadvipa. We are in Jambudvipa, Plakshadvipa, Shalmali Dvipa, Kushadvipa, Kronchadvipa, Pushkaradvipa. There are 7 different islands. So people come from all the different islands to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Disguised as human beings, they all come. As well as not only different dvipas, in the same dvipa that we are in Bhumandala, it's called Jambudvipa. Jambudvipa has got 9 different kandas. We are in Bharata Kanda. So there are 9 different kandas there. They also come. So in other words, everyone from all parts of the world, they come to take darshan, to associate with Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Dressed in different ways, people from the 7 islands and 9 khandas visited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prahlad Maharaj, Bali Maharaj, Srila Vyasadev, Shukadev Goswami and many other great sages came to visit Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Upon seeing him, they became unconscious in ecstatic love for Krishna. Being unable to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the populace outside his room would make a tumultuous sound. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go outside and tell them, chant Hare Krishna. Bahire Pukare Loka Darshana Napana Krishna Kaha Balena Prabhu Bahire Ashiya. All kinds of people would come to see the Lord, and upon seeing him, they would be overwhelmed with ecstatic love for Krishna. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed his days and nights. One day, people suddenly came to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and informed him, Gopinath Patanayaka, the son of Bhavanandarai, has been condemned to death by the Badajana, the eldest son of the king, and has been raised on the Changa. And Prabhupada says in the purport, the Changa was a device for killing a condemned person. It consisted of a raised platform on which the condemned person was made to stand. Underneath the platform, there were stationary upright swords. So basically, they'll take him to a raised platform and I'll throw him to land on the sword. So the body would get pierced and the person would die. And if the person didn't die, they'll pick him up, take him again to the top, and they'll throw him down. So they'll repeat this process until the person quits his body. So this is a way of executing the death sentence. Underneath the platform, there were stationary upright swords. The condemned man would be pushed down onto the swords, and in this way he would die. For some reason, Gopinath Patanayaka had been condemned to death and had therefore been raised upon the Changa. The Badajana has placed swords beneath the platform, they said, and will throw Gopinatha upon them. O Lord, only if you protect him will he be saved. Bhavananda Roy and his entire family are your servants. Therefore, it is quite fitting for you to save the son of Bhavananda Roy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired, why is the king chastising him? Thereupon the people described the entire incident. They said, Gopinath Patanayaka, the brother of Ramananda Roy, has always been a treasurer for the government. He served in the place known as Malajatya Dandapata, soliciting and collecting money there and depositing it in the government treasury. Once, when he deposited the collection, however, a balance of 200,000 kahanas of conch shells were due from him. Therefore, the king demanded this sum. Gopinath Patanayaka replied, there is no money I can immediately give you in cash. Please give me time. Gradually, I shall purchase and sell my gross goods, and in this way fill your treasury. There are 10 to 12 good horses. Take them immediately for a proper price. After saying this, he brought all the horses to the door of the king. One of the princes knew how to estimate the prices of the horses very well. Thus the king sent for him to come with his ministers and friends. The prince, however, purposely gave a reduced estimate for the value of the horses. When Gopinath Patanayaka heard the price quoted, he was very angry. That prince had a personal idiosyncrasy of turning his neck and facing the sky, looking here and there again and again. Gopinath Patanayaka criticized the prince. He was afraid of the prince because the king was very kind toward him. Gopinath Patanayaka said, my horses never turn their necks or look upward. Therefore, the price for them should not be reduced. Hearing this criticism, the prince became very angry. Going before the king, he made some false allegations against Gopinath Patanayaka. This Gopinath Patanayaka, he said, is unwilling to pay the money due. Instead, he is squandering it under some pretext. If you issue an order, I can put him on the Changa and thus realize the money. The king replied, you can adopt whatever means you think best. Any device by which you can somehow or other realize the money is all right. Thus the prince went back, raised Gopinath Patanayaka onto the platform of the Changa and spread the swords below upon which to throw him. After hearing this explanation, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied with affectionate anger, Gopinath Patanayaka does not want to pay the money that is due the king. The Lord said, how then is the king at fault in punishing him? In other words, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, when we are in material world, we need to do our duty properly, material duties properly. Gopinath Patanayaka is in charge of collecting money on behalf of the government, but he misappropriates it. Not fearing the king, he squanders it to see dancing girls. If one is intelligent, let him perform service to the government, and after paying the government, he can spend whatever money is left. So this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying. At that time, another person came there in great haste, bringing the news that Vaninath Rai and his entire family had been arrested. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, the king must personally realize the money that is due. I am but a sannyasi, a member of the renounced order. What can I do? The reason why devotees are bringing the news to him is to ask Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to use his influence to recommend, to send the message to the king to spare the life of Gopinath Patanayaka. Then all the devotees headed by Swarup Damodar Goswami fell at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and submitted the following plea. All the members of Ramananda Roy's family are your eternal servants. Now they are in danger. It is not befitting for you to be indifferent to them in this way. After hearing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke in an angry mood. You want to order me to go to the king? He said, your opinion is that I should go to the king's palace and spread my cloth to beg money from him. Of course, a sannyasi or brahmana may beg for up to 5 gandas, but why should he be granted the inappropriate sum of 200,000 kahanas of conch shells? So there is a rule. Prabhupada says in one place to one of his disciples that whenever I had any need for Lakshmi, I just distributed the books, and Krishna sent whatever Lakshmi that's needed through selling of these books. I was never begging. Prabhupada is telling to his disciple. When his disciple is asking, Prabhupada, how should I raise funds for preaching purpose? Prabhupada said, just take the books, distribute, and Krishna will give you whatever Lakshmi that you need, and then spend. So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, a sannyasi is allowed to do, but not inappropriate sum. For some personal need they may be. Of course, a sannyasi or brahmana may beg for up to 5 gandas. There is a unit. There is a cap. Till that amount they can beg. Hearing this news, all the devotees again appealed to the Lord, but the Lord replied, I am a beggar. It is impossible for me to do anything about this. Therefore, if you want to save him, you should all pray together at the lotus feet of Jagannath. Lord Jagannath is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He possesses all potencies. Therefore, he is able to act freely and can do and undo whatever he likes. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied in this way, an officer named Harichandana Patra came to the king and spoke with him. After all, he said, Gopinath Patanayaka is your faithful servant. To condemn a servant to death is not a good behavior. His only fault is that he owes some money to the government. If he is killed, however, what profit will there be? The government will be the loser, for it will not get the money. It would be better to take the horses for a proper price and let him gradually repay the balance. Why are you killing him unnecessarily? The king answered in surprise, I did not know about all this. Why should his life be taken? I only want the money from him. Go there and adjust everything. I want only the payment, not his life. Harichandana then returned and informed the prince of the king's desire, and immediately Gopinath Patanayaka was taken down from the changa. Then he was told that the king demanded the money due him and asked what means he would adopt to pay it. Kindly take any horses, he replied, for a proper price. I shall gradually pay the balance as I can, without consideration. However, you were going to take my life. What can I say? Then the government took all the horses for a proper price. A time was set for payment of the balance, and Gopinath Patanayaka was released. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired from the messenger, what was Vaninatha doing when he was arrested and brought there? The messenger replied, he was fearlessly, incessantly chanting the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He counted the chants on the fingers of both hands, and after he had finished chanting 1,000 times, he would make a mark on his body. This is how he was counting. Hearing this news, the Lord was very pleased. Who can understand the mercy of the Lord upon his devotee? At that time, Kashi Mishra came to the residence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the Lord talked with him with some agitation. I cannot stay here any longer. The Lord said, I shall go to Alalnatha. There are too many disturbances here, and I cannot take any rest. All the family members of Bhavananda Roy are engaged in government service, but they spend the government's revenues in various ways. What is the fault on the part of the king? He wants the government's money. However, when they are punished for failing to pay the government its due, they come to me to release them. When the king put Gopinath Patanayaka on the Changa, messengers came 4 times to inform me about the incident. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doesn't like that. As a beggar sannyasi, a mendicant, I wish to live alone in a solitary place. But these people come to tell me about their unhappiness and disturb me. Jagannatha had saved him once from death today. But if tomorrow he again does not pay what he owes the treasury, who will give him protection? If I hear about the activities of materialistic persons, my mind becomes agitated. Once they show Time magazine to Srila Prabhupada, when Prabhupada actually was telling, we need to raise the standard of Back to Godhead magazine, like Time magazine. I want it to be like this. Then they brought the latest edition of Time magazine to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was seated on the desk. He was going through. And then after some time he closes it and he pushes it. And he says, none of the devotees should read Time magazine. Because they presented the material world so nicely, it looks as if it is real. Prabhupada says like that. Nobody should read it. But you make Back to Godhead magazine like this standard, to make it so attractive. That's the Prabhupada's instruction. If I hear about the activities of materialistic persons, my mind becomes agitated. There is no need for me to stay here and be disturbed in that way. Kashi Mishra caught hold of the Lord's lotus feet and said, why should you be agitated by these affairs? You are a renowned sannyasi. What connections do you have? One who worships you for some material purpose is blind to all knowledge. Kashi Mishra continued, if one engages in devotional service for your satisfaction, this will result in his increasingly awakening his dormant love for you. But if one engages in devotional service for material purposes, he should be considered a number 1 fool. It is only for your sake that Ramananda Roy resigned from the governorship of South India and Sanatana Goswami gave up his post as minister. It is for your sake that Raghunath Das gave up all his family relationships. His father sent money and men here to serve him. However, because he has received the mercy of your lotus feet, he does not even accept his father's money. Instead, he eats by begging alms from centers for the distribution of food. Gopinath Patanayaka is a good gentleman. He does not desire material benefits from you. It is not Gopinatha who sent all those men so that you would release him from his plight. Rather, his friends and servants, seeing his distressed condition, informed you, because they all knew that Gopinatha is a soul surrendered unto you. Gopinatha Patanayaka is a pure devotee who worships you only for your satisfaction. He does not care about his personal happiness or distress, for that is the business of a materialist. One who engages in your devotional service 24 hours a day, desiring only your mercy, will very soon attain shelter of your lotus feet. And then he recites Tatyanukampam verse. Finally, stay here at Jagannath Puri. Why should you go to Alalnatha? Henceforward, no one will approach you about material affairs. Finally, Kashi Mishra told the Lord, if you want to give protection to Gopinatha, then Lord Jagannatha, who protected him today, will also protect him in future. Which means he's telling, if there is any problem for them, just like how Jagannath protected today, Jagannath will protect them tomorrow. So nobody will disturb you. So he's pacifying the Lord to stay back. After saying this, Kashi Mishra left the abode of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and returned to his own temple. At noon, King Prataparudra came to Kashi Mishra's home. As long as King Prataparudra stayed in Purushottama, which is Puri, he performed one regular activity. He would come daily to the house of Kashi Mishra to massage his lotus feet. The king would also hear from him about how opulently Lord Jagannath was being served. When the king began pressing his lotus feet, Kashi Mishra informed him about something through hints. My dear king, he said, please hear one uncommon item of news. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to leave Jagannath Puri and go to Alalnatha. When the king heard that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going to Alalnatha, he was very unhappy and inquired about the reason. Then Kashi Mishra informed him of all the details. When Gopinath Patanayaka was lifted onto the Changa, he said, all his servants went to inform Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hearing about this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was extremely sorry at heart, and in anger he chastised Gopinath Patanayaka. Because he is mad after sense gratification, the Lord said he acts as a government servant but spends the government's revenues for various sinful activities. The revenue of the government is more sacred than the property of a Brahmana. One who misappropriates the government's money and uses it to enjoy sense gratification is most sinful. Prabhupada explains actually the way how government is supposed to actually take taxes should be exactly same as the cloud. And Prabhupada says, during summer, the sun evaporates the water, water goes up and then they form clouds. And during rainy season, whenever earth needs rain, the clouds actually they bring forth rain. Or they cause the rain to fall. Prabhupada says, same way, during normal times, government should take the taxes. But at the time of need, government, just like how the clouds are actually pouring forth as rain, similarly, the government is supposed to make welfare activities for the same people from whom they exacted the taxes. But Prabhupada said, however, in Kali Yuga, government will increase the tax and they'll only keep on increasing. They won't give nothing back. In fact, that's given as one of the common symptoms of Kali Yuga. And then Prabhupada in one conversation he's telling to a new person who comes. So, if you don't chant Hare Krishna, then you have to take birth again. And you will be born at a time when there will be only cannibals around. There won't be any food to eat. So when Prabhupada is saying this, that visitor is asking Prabhupada, what will happen to all the devotees of Krishna? Prabhupada is telling him, no, we are all going to Golok Vrindavan. We won't be around at that time. Few of us may be there for preaching, but Prabhupada is saying, in another conversation, Prabhupada says, so, one priest is asking Prabhupada, Christian priest, so Swamiji, after death, what is the destination? After that, we are going to Goloka. We have the name, address, everything about Krishna. So we know where we are going. Prabhupada talks as if, you're going and meeting a friend. So Prabhupada says, we know where he lives, we know his address, we know how to go, we know his name. So we have all the details. We are all going to Krishna. Prabhupada says like that. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki jai. Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai. Sri Shri Gauranitai ki jai. Sri Caitanya Caritamrta ki jai. Sri Shri Radha Gopinath's devotees ki jai. Devotees in Mayapur TV, YouTube and Facebook ki jai. Jai Nitai Gaura Pramanande Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.